Good evening and welcome down to WDiMT Muletown. As always, this is the captain speaking. Got a lot to get to, so we will hop right on into it. So, currently live from Sunnyside. There we go, took it a second. I don't know why it scrolled down. It's been one of those days, folks. I tell you. So, 1 second there. Apologies for that. So, currently 65 degrees live from Sunnyside. Wind pretty calm, about 3 miles an hour out of the south-southwest. No precip today. Dew point 52, pressure 29.88, and pretty steady. So NWS didn't put out any of the today, tomorrow, tonight graphics, so we'll skip right on into that, and we'll talk about the things. So, severe storms Friday night, and possibly a couple different scenarios going down for the day Saturday. We'll talk about that as well. See it about one of 3 ways. It's kind of how the models are playing everything out as well too. So we'll have to see. We'll talk about those scenarios. But again, with this particular stuff, got the enhanced risk area going on there pretty much for everywhere west of 65, and that does include the Columbia Muletown area. Again, we're going to talk about some maps and some things that we need you all to help us with as well later on in just a minute as well. So problem is going to be both days that pesky red area creeping in closer to our area. Going to be a bigger issue, I think, on Saturday for sure than Friday, but we are expecting maybe some of those storms Saturday morning to either be pretty minimal or they could be pretty strong. I think it's going to be a one way or the other thing, and don't let your guard down just yet, because it's not all good news there. If those Friday storms turn out to be weaker, that actually may leave a little bit of punch left in the atmosphere and instability side of things for those storms later on during the second half of the day on Saturday. Again, think that's going to be our main focus, but we definitely don't want to get over our head ourselves and sleep on the Friday stuff either. So again, same enhanced risk, 3 out of 5 for Saturday, but this graphic is actually a little bit out of date. It's the latest one NWS had up, so apologies there. We'll show you the updated one here. Yep, just here we go. So here's the updated one. Columbia County, again, not labeled on this one, so that's where that geography comes into play there. But you can see the moderate risk area is just about all the way up to, and this actually isn't all the way up to date either. Deadgum, sorry y'all. I'll show you the up-to-date one here in just a second, promise. But the other thing we're going to be looking at with this, obviously, other than the tornado threat or the wind threat, will be some pretty heavy rain. So some of these storms look like they're going to be moving pretty fast, but there may be a lot of them, kind of like in trains or waves, or it could turn out to be one line. So again, that goes into a little bit more of the scenario thing, and we're going to talk about that as it goes. So regional picture, again, this is Friday. You see we're right there on the edge of that 3 out of 5. Just depending on where you're listening to me from in the area. Most of Middle Tennessee, though, under threat Friday night and through the day on Saturday. Again, so Friday, key messages there. Let me get this pulled up here on my end so I can read that better. I've kind of tried to make room on my screen size here to maximize things, and it's a little small here on my end, so let me look at that. Severe weather outbreak, numerous severe thunderstorms likely Saturday over the central, oops, that's not, right one, sorry. Been one of them day, folks, telling you. So, Friday, yep. Regional outbreaks, severe storms likely Friday, lower mid-Missouri, Mississippi valleys, etc., so on and so forth. Tornadoes, several of which could be strong. I think it's going to be mainly an issue more to our northwest, and hopefully not here, but we could see that tornado threat. And that's where we come in there with that tornadoes may continue overnight into early Saturday. We'll talk about exactly the timing on this here once we get into the models in just a moment. Oh, and I do want to go back to one thing there, but you see in the dashed dotted lines there we are in basically the wind and the tornado risk both, and this is for Friday again, so definitely don't want to sleep on the Friday storms at all, especially after seeing some of the things that Mr. Bobby Boyd had to post today on Twitter as well. So again, Saturday we're still kind of within bad news that area of greatest concern for the severe weather there. And this one actually is updated where you can see where the moderate risk area there, the 4 out of 5, basically comes all the way up to the Tennessee-Alabama border. It's about, I think, just about halfway through like Limestone County, which is the next one down, I believe. It's Limestone anyway. That next county down from the Alabama border. So it is pretty close. Definitely stay weather aware pretty much from Friday on to Saturday night. So pretty much, I hate to say 24-hour spread, but that's going to be about what we're looking at. It could be continuous, or again, it could come in some waves, combination of the two as far as like cells and lines. That's one of the things that we're going to be watching very closely as all of this shakes out and develops. So I'll hop into the models here. First, we got GFS, so one of the American models, showing timestamps up there at the top. I've got some of these kind of moving a little quicker, so if you need to, definitely go back and pause this. I'm not going to try to make it too long, but we are going to get into the weather nerdery here in just a minute. So again, one potential scenario that is, as far as this sees it, is basically how this goes. So it takes you through tonight there, and then going forward on into Saturday. Yeah. So again, just one of the many possibilities here, and we're going to break some of these down here in a minute too. So definitely stay with us and check that out. All right, so again, this is the same thing, but in the regional picture, and you can see kind of the frontal passage and everything. And we were wondering where exactly, this front may track through, and some of these have it, going a little bit north of Murray, and then you see right there, it's just about right in the middle of Williamson County, northern Murray County there, as far as like the frontal passage of that center of low pressure. So again, one thing that we been watching to see exactly where that would go. More north may equal less severe, more south may equal more. So just depending on where exactly it's going to go is going to tell the tale. But right now it looks like all of the things are coming together. We're just going to depend on the storms. So this is the NAM, North American model, a little bit different. It shows less of a group of like discrete cells, individual cells, what we call, and just mainly that one line coming through. Maybe some cells out ahead of it, maybe not. That's going to be the tricky part, I think, as far as this goes. But NAM is definitely still more on board with the more linear storm mode, which should overall help decrease the tornado risk. Not going to do much with the wind threat, unfortunately. So but again, these are all time stamped a little differently. When you see the Zulu time is -6, that's what we're at the moment. GMT -6, and that's Central Time Zone. And then again, overall view there, just that main line heading through probably after midnight, before daylight, somewhere around there in that area. Friday, and then main line coming through Saturday, probably sometimes in the evening time before dark. So a little bit opposite ends of the things there, but like I said, unfortunately about a 24-hour spread as far as the need to stay weather aware. So Euro model, so this has been one of the interesting ones, showing maybe a cluster of individual cells, discrete cells, followed by maybe some lines, waves, blobs, followed by another line potentially throughout the day on Saturday there. So definitely some interesting things. Those are kind of the two dominant scenarios as far as like seeing maybe a combination of either lines and cells, or maybe just a line. HRRR, some of the high range like NAM3K models are starting to come into view, but they're kind of cutting off right in the middle of that Saturday event. So the next runs should get us mostly through Saturday night, I think, as far as the coverage there. So that will definitely help out once those get all the way into view. And again, kind of not what we want to see here, those individual cells out by themselves, or kind of those groups of cells that may train. And then eventually those lines or line coming through. So again, just going through all this, and we're kind of moving fast. But this is one of the high resolution models that's come into focus. It's a 60-hour model, so it's one of those mid-short. But you can see it moving through there through the afternoon Friday. And then here comes our activity early Saturday. not making much of it there as far as the NAM 3K goes, but then throughout the day, again, there's the possibility of those individual cells followed by that line there and showing maybe some pretty heavy spots in the line as well. So notice the pattern here, regional view, go through and look at the same thing in the big picture with all the fronts and everything mapped out as far as that goes, and show you exactly where these go. And I think the NAM had the frontal passage pretty much right over Murray as well too, with the low spot. I think it's going to be pretty similar. If not, here it comes. We'll see. Yep, pretty much right to our south. So it's all pretty much similar trending there as far as the position of the low. I think it's just going to depend on, again, which mode we come out of the situation with, whether it's a combination of lines or cells or just the line. Again, the just the line will help out with the tornado possibilities or probabilities, not necessarily with the wind. The individual cells and line obviously puts us back in the mix for both. So HRRR, one of my more favorite models here, showing a little bit more bullish on that line coming through late Friday night, early Saturday morning, and then followed by a lot more of the same. So this is one that I like to tend to use because it's one of the convection allowing models. It takes into consideration a lot of the things. It updates every hour. It runs a 48-hour loop every 6 hours. I like this one a lot. And this kind of is that what we don't want to see scenario. So again, not as bad, but showing some storms there arriving probably around 3 to 5 a.m. or so, somewhere around there. And then followed by those bands and waves of individual cells. But like I said a minute ago, problem is it cuts off right there in the middle of the event. So look at the regional view, same thing again with the frontal passage and pressure markers on it. So you can see kind of big picture thing of what's going on there in the high resolution model. So cells that are going to be down there in Mississippi and Alabama that are going to be especially problematic for them. Just waiting to see kind of how much instability can make its way into our area at this point, and hoping none of those heavier long track strong tornadoes that are forecast at this point, pretty much almost expected down to our south, make it this way. So see all the comments in there. Love y'all, mean it. I'll get to y'all here in just a second. Promise I'm going to circle back around because we are almost done. We're going to get into some of just the basic prep stuff that you can do here in a bit. I'm going to be posting some of that stuff as well. So, but again, if you're just joining us, talking about lots of things, try not to make this too long because I know it's going to be long enough as is anyway. But I'll try to get to the comment section here in just a second, and you see some of those kind of populate in on the screen now. So appreciate everybody joining us on both Facebook and YouTube. Remember, like, follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff really helps us out. We also have that new subscription live on Facebook as well. We're going to start doing some more things with that and get some merch discounts, maybe some exclusive content, all that fun stuff. So remember to check us out on all of those, YouTube as well. Helps us out with the algorithm. And again, end of the day, the more people we can reach, the more lives we can save, teach, all of that fun stuff. So ignore the current conditions down there. I don't think I updated those, unfortunately. I think that slipped my mind in trying to do all of this. But again, I wanted to stop and give y'all all the info there. I've got all the slides at the front of the video. So like I said, if need be, definitely go check those out once the video posts, once we go off live. So I'm going to go and look at some of the sciencey, weather, nerdy, geeky stuff here. So if that ain't you, this is that time. But we're going to talk about some of like possibilities of what I think may happen, how likely they may be as far as like what this model is saying versus how much that is different from any of the other models. and get into some of the wind shear, storm fuel, cape, nitty gritty detail values of all of that fun stuff. So before I do that, let me definitely hop in the comment section, see how y'all are. Appreciate those stars and stuff as well too. Always appreciated, never needed. So got some information on that as well on our about section of the page and a tip section. If that's your thing, we appreciate you. Helps us keep the lights on and cover subscriptions and all that fun stuff. All right, Mortimer says, what's up, Captain? What's up, my brother? Hope you all are doing fine over there in Beverly County. Morning or evening, Miss Tammy. We think you are the best. We appreciate you following. Shelly Smith says, thank you for all you do, and we appreciate you, Shelly. Appreciate you following. Brandy P in Tennessee says hello, hello. And Captain says hello, hello, right back at you. Right, Allison here. Boppy here. Appreciate you. Scott Clark says, appreciate you. We appreciate you too as well, brother. Spring Hill Weather. Hey, Miss Sheila and company. How are y'all? Belinda. No, I'm going to mess up somebody's name. I know it. Let's see. Shelby, Rhonda, Melissa. Appreciate y'all joining us as well. Rhonda got a good question. So basically from midnight Friday to midnight Saturday, pretty much. I don't think it's going to be quite that wide on the back end. Our storms will hopefully taper off before or around dark. There may be some stragglers there, but hopefully it's not going to be quite that late on Saturday. But excellent question there. Right. Yep, definitely do need to get a storm shelter. I'm working on one. I'm going to rebuild my garage, refinish my garage, actually build a new one, and under it is going to be a pretty nifty little storm shelter bunker kind of command center type thing. So it'll be neat if I ever get it done. Caplot wants to know about how possible is it for tornadoes in Colombia. We're going to talk about that as well here in just a minute during some of the nerdery stuff. I've seen some scary looking AI based models and things that I'm not sharing with y'all for that exact reason, because it's scary for no reason as far as I'm concerned. Some of the stuff's pretty up there as far as some of the values. I've seen I don't think it's this high. Again, throwing that out there as a caveat. I've seen stuff as high as 50 to 80%. Most of it down in Mississippi and Alabama, but some of it kind of in a plume heading up this direction. So definitely crazy as far as that goes. And I think just, again, overly alarming for no reason. So based on the SPC stuff, we're at about a 25%, I think, of any. How that works is it's basically like a 25% chance of any given point within you. And so if you say you and your point is literally like right between your feet as you're standing, you've got a 25% chance or so to see a tornado within 25 miles of you. So maybe here, maybe 10 miles across town, maybe 25 miles up the road, maybe right next to you but not you. Just depends. That's always the tricky part. So Michaela joining us from Dixon. Don't be nervous. Again, all of this is not to scare. It is just to prepare. Same thing there, Melissa. Don't want anybody to be terrified, but we know that's why a lot of our folks are here, is because you have that old storm anxiety. I get it. So, yep. So Caroline said, glad to postpone Dollywood to next weekend. Hey, folks, if you can, you can. I know some stuff, if you've got those things that can't be postponed, that is what it is. But I mean, we've had a lot of folks ask those questions, and that's why it comes up so much. I always feel like a broken record. I don't want to, and that's why I even threw it in the rules. It's one of those things, folks. It's a personal decision. People always ask me, hey, is it going to get bad this weekend or something like that? And I'm like, hey, bad's a really subjective term, brother. Your version of bad and my version of bad are likely a lot different. And I don't mean to sound snarky when I say that, but that's true. Been doing this, been chasing, been around the world and back a couple times, one hand on the wheel. With some of this stuff, and bad to me is like generational super outbreak kind of stuff. So yeah, bad's got to be bad for me to say like, yeah, this is bad, bro. So I don't think right now we're looking at bad. Mississippi, Alabama, like Saturday, that part right now is kind of looking kind of bad. If that keeps, because it's kind of starting to inch its way, according to some of the models, SBC guidance, and some of the things, starting to inch its way with some of the ingredients into our area. But if it keeps inching our way into its area or intensifies, yes, then we may be more towards the bad end of the good bad scale, but we are not there yet. No. Same thing with Riot was asking, do I really think it's going to be that bad? Don't think so. No. It's definitely serious enough and close enough to the bad, if you're listening to me from Columbia, Murray County, Tennessee, to be concerned and to keep an eye on things, and that's exactly what we're doing. So Haley's coming home from Gatlinburg Saturday. What time? Should be back in Spring Hill before everything starts. That's going to be the tricky bit, and I hope you saw kind of the things we were going through with the models there. It could be literally from before daylight, kind of off and on, mostly on all day, or it could come that first round of storms, stop, atmosphere recharge, and kind of pump back up, and then come that main round of storms, line of storms, and or line blob group of cells line of storms scenario. So that's not a real straightforward answer, I know, Haley, but that's about the best I got at the moment until those short range models finish coming into picture. Jamira, I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, you can kick me in the shins. What's Columbia going to look like? Probably exactly the same as it did yesterday. So again, don't think we're to that death and destruction point. We've definitely got, I'd say, not a substantial, but not nothing tornado threat. Got a pretty decent wind threat, and again, large hail, heavy rain, could be a lot of things going on there, but definitely not trying to give anybody flashbacks of May of last year. Don't think we're to that point. If I think we're to that point, I'll definitely let y'all know, but it's looking like some pretty serious weather to our south for sure. I can pretty comfortably say that I am almost positive there will be tornadoes this weekend. I just hope they're all south. I mean, I hope they're not at all hope-wise, but for our sake, to the folks I'm talking to at the moment, it looks like it's going to be bad to the south, and I hope that's all it is, but definitely not wishing ill on them. But Capelot says, if tornadoes were to hit Columbia, could you tell which areas they would be in, or is it just up in the air? No, I wish I could tell. Promise you I could. Would if I could anyway. But yeah, I have no idea. We can kind of break it down to just rough geographically, so that's why we say things like west of I-40. I'll pull this back up here in a second and show you just this prime example. So when we say like west of I-65. So when we say like west of I-65, so right there, the difference between that 3 and that 2 right there is pretty much I-65. So when we say things like along and west of I-65, look at that. Bang, that's Murray County. We're talking about you. You know, we say things like south of I-40. I-40's up there. Going across the map east to west, bang, that's us in Murray County. So we try to speak generally and kind of vaguely on purpose. I know it may be annoying to the the non-used to it, but it's just so we don't have to just go through and list everything in every county and just kind of speak generally, because I mean, that's honestly as close as we can get. You know, we can say, hey, this storm is going to get to roughly this area between about roughly this time, because nobody knows. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. We are all at Mother Nature's whim, and Mother Nature doesn't care about the SPC lines on the map or county lines or any of that other stuff. It's just going to be what it's going to be, and we're going to have to stay out of the way and try to stay as well armed with accurate info as we can. Like I said, that's about all we can do, and try to be as prepared as we can. Yeah, Shelby was talking about the shelter plans and stuff for Mule Day. They usually do a really good job, because it seems like it never fails. It's sometimes between the week of Mule Day, there's going to be some warned storm or something, but folks out at Murray County Park, Murray County Sheriff's Office, Murray County EMA, Murray County EMS, Fire Department, Columbia Police Department, Tennessee Highway Patrol, all of like the alphabet police, everybody is here during meal day. Everybody pitches out, whether you see them or not. Trust me, they are everywhere. So they do a great job there, because it seems like, as I said, it never fails. Sometimes during the week of meal day, there's at least one warned storm, so tornado or severe thunderstorm or something. Jameer is asking best place to go in a single family home. Great question. Most interior room that you can. So something in the center, preferably. If you've got it without windows, exterior walls, anything like that. So bathrooms are a good one. Lots of options like that. What you want to avoid is like large roofs, so like gymnasiums, yes, auditoriums are not a great idea, so try to avoid that if you can. I'll pull some of this up here while I'm talking, because I'm getting some of these loaded into our software here still. I've only got 20 slots preloaded in and we've used them up already. So again, so this is a few days out, so make sure you got your emergency supplies, know your safe spaces. If you are going somewhere, I've had lots of questions and stuff like that from people saying, hey, you know, we're going camping this weekend in cabins, or we're going to a hotel, or we're going this or that or whatever. Great. As soon as you get there, start scoping things out. If it's a baseball field or a sports complex, something like that, or somewhere you're not used to staying, or wherever you are, look at your ways in and out. Look at like the strong places. If there's a press box or a concession stand or like area under the bleachers, designated severe weather shelter areas, all of that fun stuff. Go ahead and look at that before you get there when you don't need it, and that way when you do, it's second nature. So lowest level, obviously, underground is best. When we're dealing with tornadoes, I usually don't say this very often, but I try to throw it in there again just to not sugarcoat folks, and I usually say this a lot in private messages and not as much over the page. When we talk about tornadoes, we're usually talking about like EF2 or under. When we talk about strong tornadoes or like violent long track tornadoes, we're generally talking about EF3 or better. So just to be real with y'all, a home, like a well-constructed, good built, you know, solid home can withstand, for the most part, just I'm trying to speak general, and you really can't, a direct hit from an EF3. Maybe. Most can, some can't, whatever. It's right at where that maybe line is. A side swipe, probably so. But when we talk about these other tornadoes, and we're talking about the strong EF3s, the EF4s, the EF5s, folks, you need to be underground. Interior room, closet, when you're talking about things of that magnitude, just being real with you, this is probably not going to cut it. You need to have substantial shelter and a safe place when you're talking things of that magnitude. So again, don't think we're there, but that's what some folks are going to be looking at across the South this weekend. So definitely keep them in mind and try to think about, hey, you know, if this was me, what would I do? Where would I go? You know, get that family communication plan, all of that stuff thought of, and that way you can be one step ahead. So I'm looking for because I've got a great interior room graphic in here. We'll go through some of this stuff just as I'm getting to it then in that case. So there's our storm planning timeline. We can go in and look at our emergency kit. So any stuff that you need, obviously, to survive, medicine, first aid kit, food, water, pet stuff as well, chargers, batteries, NOAA radio, hygiene products, some cash money. ATMs and things might not be working if things go really south wherever you are. Documents and stuff, driver's license, birth certificate, pictures of you and Grandma Gert, whoever you got, and then obviously throw all that in a bag in case you got to move pretty quickly. Always have multiple ways of getting warnings, especially again at nighttime. Heard an interesting little tidbit today. Listened to the Weather Channel in the background while I was doing some other stuff. 46% of Tennessee's tornadoes, so almost half, occur at night. And also, I think it was in the last 20 years or so, with the enhanced warning systems and stuff like that, overall tornado fatalities have gone down about 20% in 20 years, whereas nighttime nocturnal tornadoes fatalities have gone up around 20%. So interesting little tidbit there. So definitely use caution with those nighttime events. Here we go. There's the what I was looking for. So have a way, multiple ways to get warnings, and preferably something that's going to wake you up. So know where to go. Nothing outside, nothing on the top floor, nothing with exterior windows or walls, anything like that, preferably. So underground is always going to be best, but if you don't have that, the interior-most room of the house, stairwell, bathroom, under, like cupboard under the stairs, something like that, is going to be mo better than any of that other stuff. Ideally, if you don't have literally like any other options, or say you live and don't have a good safe space option at all, and we know something like this is going to be multiple days out in advance, call family and friend. If you got somebody close, especially if they've got like a basement or some substantial shelter, give them a shout. Absolutely. There are public shelters as well too. I know Murray EMA has a shelter. They open theirs up a lot, and there's some others as well. So keep an eye on socials for that. We usually try to share that whenever we can as well too. So No Weather Radio, we try to always show this as much as we can as well, because again, No Radio, not perfect, but great resource, and you can see the individual transmitters there and their locations and respective channels. Some of them will be the radios are set to just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever. That's fine. Just go through and find the one that's basically got the least amount of static, comes in the best, most clearest for you. Usually for Murray County, it will be either that Centerville or Lawrenceburg transmitter. On a good day, I can pick up both roughly, but being in Sunnyside, Southwest Columbia, the 162.425 transmitter in Lawrenceburg does work best for me most of the time. So if you're having issues with the reception, you can move it towards a window, try maybe an extended antenna, something like that, a couple different things that you can do there. But generally speaking, if it's good enough to get that nice clear signal, it's generally good enough to get the warning tones when they are activated. So difference between watches and warnings. So promise this is easy. Like I said, we teach it to kindergartners all the time. So watches literally mean watch out. So that type of severe weather, whether it be a tornado watch, severe thunderstorm watch, whatever, it means that is possible. So you should watch out. Tornado warning obviously means tornado warnings are issued when they are happening or about to happen. So maybe we see that rotation on the radar, or a spotter may see one on the ground already, or a funnel cloud. So again, watch means literally watch out, be prepared, stay update to the forecast. The warning means it's happening right now, take cover. So pretty straightforward there as far as that goes. The watches, are issued for like many counties, big, broad, wide areas. Warnings are issued for individual cells or storms. So watches are issued for events, and then the warnings are issued for individual storms. Michaela wants to know where the best place to go in an apartment building. Bottom floor? Yes, absolutely. Definitely the bottom floor. Same thing goes with the stairwells and stuff, as long as they're not outside. It definitely comes with that caveat. Ariana's got to work 8:30 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Saturday. It should be hopefully on the downswing by then. The concern on the nighttime stuff is mainly Friday. I think the majority, and there may still be some on the back end on Saturday night, but I think on Saturday the majority of the stuff should be coming through during the daytime hours. Jeffrey, if you're just joining us, wants to know what time it's starting. It could be a couple different scenarios. Could be going down pretty much all day from pre-day light hours of Saturday all through the day from Friday night, kind of continuing on to basically around dark or a little bit before on Saturday. So kind of a 24-hour window, just depending on what happens. We may see some storms overnight into those daylight hours on Saturday, and then it may stop and recharge, and then there may be another round or rounds. So that's one of those things that we're still waiting to see what exactly is going to go down in the winds. Caleb asking difficult questions. If we do see tornadoes in Colombia, are they more than likely going to be weaker than an EF3? It's looking more than likely, like more probably than not, yes. The thing that irks me or worries me a bit is that potential for the plus EF2s, so the EF3s, 4s, 5s, long track, violent, gnarly stuff, isn't far away from us. So again, that's one of the things that we're keeping an eye on for sure. Jennifer wants to know if kiddos live on second or third floor apartments, what would be best? Not to be on the second or third floor, to be honest with you on that one. If they must, still go to the interior most thing that you can get, but just be very aware. Structural collapse doesn't usually work out for anybody that's not on the top floor. So definitely keep that in mind as far as that goes. Just trying to make my way through the comments here, and I promise we're going to get back to the fun stuff here in a second. And then there's lots and lots and lots of questions here. Kathy, great question. So if you get caught in your car and there's a tornado coming, you know you're not supposed to be under underpass. Correct. That is a great old myth from Hollywood, I think. So that can actually create a wind tunnel effect. Honestly, if you're in the car and it's already too late and you're already in that bad situation, if you think that you can get away from it, get away from it. NWS won't tell you that, but I know fear is a powerful motivator, and if you're a good driver and you can make it through it, try to do it. Otherwise, my best advice is literally to go lay down in a ditch, put your arms over your head, unless there's like flash flooding going on. Obviously, you don't want to be in a low area then at that point, but short of that, best option is to lay down in a ditch. Car is not the place you want to be in a tornado. Which weather site for Tullahoma? Probably. I have to pull that back up in a second because I've got it already taken off all my slides here for a second. Sorry about that, Lee. We'll get that to you though. Angela wants to know what's the best place to confirm live tornadoes on the ground. Learning how to read radar basically is the best, most quickest way. That's kind of like part magic eye, part science. So. Dacia wants to know how's Lewisburg looking, not too far from the Alabama border. Yep, that's definitely the concern. And that's what I was saying a second ago. If you're just joining us, that's why we say things, like Middle Tennessee, Southern Middle Tennessee, like south of I-40. We try to talk generally like that because we're pretty much talking about y'all too. So when we're talking like about the general forecast for Columbia and Murray County, usually all the weather that comes through Columbia and Murray County ends up in Lewisburg, Williamson County, Lawrence County, Giles County, that as well too. So when we're being general like that, we're talking about everybody. Ashton wants to know will rain move in between 5 and 10 tomorrow night. No, it's probably going to be later than that. It's probably going to be more than likely after midnight, but before dawn or right at it. And then Saturday storms will more than likely be during the daytime before dark. So, all right, caught up on the comments. I've got them, throw them in there. I'll circle back to them, promise. Going to get back into the models and the nerdy stuff. All that fun stuff, like, share, scream, subscribe, and all of that. So, remember to like and follow our sponsors once we get some. We're still working on that. All right, let me pull up our screen share here. One second. Again, I got 5011 things open. Here we go. All right. Cool. So let's hop off into this. Again, this is the nerdery. If that ain't you, or if you're not just like uber super duper worried about stuff and want to know just exactly what I think down to the nitty gritty details, this ain't for you. Catch you later. See y'all. Love you. Mean it. Go back, replay or watch whatever you need to as soon as this is over and it posts. So HRRR. So this is the 00 Zulu. This just ran fresh, hot off the presses. We'll go in and look at everything here. Yep, composite reflectivity. So starting 8 p.m., rolling through. Here comes the tomorrow stuff. Those sales coming out of Alabama are new. So 8, 9, 10 p.m., maybe a little bit before midnight. Maybe it's trying to throw some of that in there, but more than likely after midnight. So call it around like 2 a.m., 5 a.m. I still think it's going to be a good window. And again, some not too insignificant storms that are coming through. Some of the other models have it maybe a little bit weaker, which again may not be 100% good thing because that's going to leave some things over for later in the day. But it definitely looks like it's continuing on in the trends here of seeing some of those storms come up, maybe some individual cells coming up from the south. Not constantly, because that's 4 a.m. Maybe some off and on between 4 and 8, but after 8 a.m. it's looking like it's a pretty steady train of strong storms, individual cells, discrete cells. So we may have to throw out that 12 p.m. afternoon start time if it does turn out like this. Again, this is just one of the individual scenarios that we've been talking about here recently. So it could be an all-day thing or it could be in different waves. So again, pull this out and look at the regional view because I want y'all to see kind of like what is happening down there in the south and kind of how that plays into this. Yeah, maybe. So this is midnight. And then coming through, you see those pretty gnarly cells coming up through down there to the south, and then the model's still running, so we're missing about the last 6 hours of this, 5 or 6 hours. So that gets us to, what's that, 19 Zulu, 1 p.m. noon. So this is 1 p.m. noon, according to this model. And again, this is just supercomputers thinking out loud. So CAPE, convective available potential energy. This is storm fuel. You see some of it coming up through there Friday night into early Saturday morning, and then coming through the day Saturday. Not a bad amount there, but not just anything crazy off the charts either. So let's see. Most unstable CAPE, not bad. Coming in Friday night. Saturday morning, not bad, not bad, not bad. Pretty much most of the way through the day. Surface-based CAPE. So this is ground heat, storm fuel. The best way I use this analogy is when you see the steam coming off of the pavement after a nice Tennessee springtime shower. Sun comes back out, steam comes up in the air from the water. That's CAPE, basically. So not bad, not crazy. So this is where we're going to get into concerning things. So wind shear, so 0 to 1 kilometers above ground level in knots. Again, scales at the bottom for all these. So getting into Saturday, around storm time, 40, 50 knots, so not too bad. But then as those storms come through, maybe some higher 50, 60 knots. Throughout the day. And then coming up from the south, you see these higher yellows, reds. That is going to be our wind shear. So storm relative helicity, here to say that, or SRH, is basically the twist relative to the storms. And you see those values there getting pretty high. So 300, 500, maybe some low, almost 600s there in those purple spots on the bottom of the scale. They're pretty high, and then moving through the day again, seeing that trying to plume back up from the south, and that is the worry. So that was a low level. Here is 0 to 3, so a little bit higher, mid-low level. Again, expect to see those higher values because this is higher up in the air, but some of those are still pretty high. So again, 1100 there, centered over Murray County. 22 Zulu, so 4 p.m. Yeah, 4 p.m. So let's see some of the composite indices. Again, this just measures the supercell fuel. Saturday morning, not bad. 9 to 12. And then going throughout the day, Saturday still not bad. Plume coming up from the south, model in run. The run ends there. Excuse me. Ugh, I can't talk. Significant tornado parameter. Again, another composite indice measuring strong tornadoes, updraft capes, etc., etc., etc. Not bad. 2.5 there. Maybe getting up to almost to 3. So not bad, not great either. So all right, again, composite reflectivity with updraft helicity, or excuse me, updraft helicity greater than 75 meters squared per second square. Science stuff. Basically, once we see, I'll show you one. So yeah, down in here, these little plumes and streams that look like they're coming off the storm, that's where an updraft is showing according to the model run here. Updrafts are your hail, tornadoes, rotations. So that's storm rising into the atmosphere, taking advantage of those crosswinds, crazy winds up above, and tapping those into the ground. And for whatever reason, the soundings aren't loading. So but you see some of those trails and streaks through there. That's not what we want to see, because that's kind of indicative of a rotating storm. Show you this is similar to the same thing, but if you could imagine each one of those rotating storms putting down a Sharpie instead of a funnel cloud, this is what it would look like. So this is the run overrun max of kind of like the updraft producing storms, and as you see, as those lines come across, the colors get heavier. That's not what we want to see, because that's a heavier prediction of an updraft producing storm. So those would be those long track violent tornadoes. When we see those streaks coming through there, that is what worries me, because if something like that is strong, it can hold together for 1,600 miles. You could theoretically have a decent tornado start in Alabama or Mississippi and then come into Tennessee. And those type things, again, are the things that worry me. That's the low level, 0 to 3 kilometer. This is the kind of mid-level, 2 to 5 kilometer. So again, same thing, but we expect to see maybe a heavier result here, just measuring from the upper level winds. And again, it's about the same result there. And the model is completely done running now. So we may go back and look at some other stuff. But these down here, again, predictably, we're expecting things to be worse to the south. But again, you see just how close we are. Just say, for instance, if one of these things was a long track tornado that's coming up, just south of Marshall County, going through, looks like Bedford, Moore, and Coffee, I think that is. Don't quote me on that. So again, this is just the things that we're concerned with, because we know things are going to be worse down there. But if some of those ingredients start to rise northward into our area, we could have some of those issues as well, or have some of those southern issues spill over into our area. So we'll go and look at, let's see, the NAM 3K still running. We'll go look at the Euro. This is a little bit older data, but again, just discussing it because the Euro has been on some craziness pretty much since it's been going on. It's favored the multiple kind of individual cells coming through scenario. So let's see. Starting Friday night, so coming in Saturday morning, it's midnight, so maybe some cells coming through around 3 a.m. Again, maybe some individual cells. That's kind of one of the things that we don't know. Hold on, let me zoom this back down for y'all. Okay, so there's 4 a.m. So maybe some of those cells coming through around then, but then it shows a kind of a clearing throughout the day, followed by a pickup again of some more activity, maybe some more individual cells, the things we don't want to see, followed by a line or group. Followed by a line or group of cells coming through around 7, possibly followed by another line or group of cells coming in between 10 and midnight-ish or so, should be cleared by 1. So, again, Euro's been a bit more of a party all week as we've been watching this one. So, again, this is just one possibility. I'll show it to you in the regional view again. Those storms coming through, maybe some individual discrete cells. What we don't want to see would be a higher tornado threat. Wind threat is still there, but it would be a higher threat for both of those versus just the higher wind threat on the line. Can still have those embedded circulations like this in that line. They're about 6 p.m. or so. But usually throw that out there with the asterisks, usually the embedded circulations within lines don't produce as strong or as long, both in track and duration, of tornadoes as do the individual cells. So again, just one possibility as you see there. So look at some of the... Let's see. So yeah, this is wind shear, surface to 500 millibar height. So low level shear here. Oops, went too far. So Friday, see everything coming in there. Saturday morning, 6 a.m., 50, 60 knots winds. But then there, as the main line or those other storms come through, could see some 70, 80 knot winds there. And the concern is any storms that are able to rise in the atmosphere could tap into those and direct some of that wind at the ground, which is as bad as it sounds. So 00 NAM is still running. We'll get back to it too. So we can go and look at the 18Z NAM. I think that's one of the ones we looked at in the stream earlier. Again, NAM's been a little bit more conservative, so this is coming through about 6 a.m. Maybe a line, maybe a broken string of like pearls, individual cells, things kind of, and then possibly a clearing again around till noon, and then picking up afternoon. So these are where those divergent thought theories as far as the timing are coming from. It's because the models are still working it out. Maybe the possibility of some individual discrete cells before that main line, but then again, main line coming through probably about 6, 7, 8 p.m. or so, according to most of the models. Maybe a little bit there on the backside, but not too much anything that should amount to anything after the main line. Supercell composites, again, just composite indice measuring storm fuel. Doesn't get too high here. Does come up from the south there. We get to about an 8 to 12. So again, not high, not low, kind of right there in the middle of the scale as you see on the bottom, but definitely some things that we're keeping an eye on, as well as things like the significant tornado parameter. You see it pretty gnarly looking there to our south, and then kind of topping out in Columbia at about a 1.72. So again, lower medium end of the scale on most of those. But all things that we're keeping an eye on to make sure that that plume of instability and those other composite indices that we're looking at don't come further north into the area there. So that's most of the ones that we covered in the stream. I think we did GFS, Euro, HBLR. The rest of them are still running, so I may... I'll probably hold off on posting any of those for the rest of the night. Don't want to over inundate y'all. Going to be lots of things to talk about tomorrow too. Probably just as many posts. So again, apologize for that. It's just that time of year. Got to do what we got to do. Keep the folks informed. So that's about all I got. I'll try to go through and answer all the questions. Again, we try to look at all the questions, read all the questions, and respond as many as we can. But we're getting into that point when you hear us say, help us, help you, this is where it's going to come into play. Things are going to be very busy. It looks like no matter what happens. I think tomorrow night, into Saturday, it's going to be very busy. If you're just joining us, as I was saying earlier, I'm pretty sure at this point that there will be tornadoes somewhere in the south this weekend, just based on the way things look. But I can't say where in the winds yet. It's looking like it's going to be pretty inarguably worse to our south. But as we say all the time, 50 miles in 50 minutes can make a big difference sometimes. So we'll be watching things closely because that area of the heaviest concern is not far to our south. And again, just because part of this event's going to be coming in at night. So definitely stay weather aware, have multiple ways to get the warnings. Stick with us here at Weather Down in Muletown, and we'll make sure we pass along that latest and greatest forecast information as it comes out, as it's available. We'll tell you which we think. We'll keep you updated. We just can't tell you what to do. So definitely think about making those plans, adjusting those plans if you've got them this weekend with all the info that we've given you, because I mean that's about all we can do at the end of the day. Definitely check out those pinned posts at the top of the page. I'll try to have everything updated in the morning after it's up. Other than that, y'all stay safe, stay weather aware, get you a NOAA Weather Radio, make sure you got it tuned right, and other than that, we'll catch y'all later. As always, Semper Paratus, Semper Adest, always here, always ready. Weather Down in Muletown. We'll catch y'all later.